did you do that for?
So I can kill him.
Dad, look out!
The bus crashed.
Mom, what bus crashed?
Michael escaped. I need to protect my family.
You have no security system, Karen.
Mom?
I've been preparing for this for a long time. It is not safe to be on the street tonight.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, sir.
There are now 11 Halloween films. Several of them are soft reboots and retcons. What is it about this story?
What is a retcon?
It's when you get the continuity and you change it later. So, for instance, you were in H2O, and then we now ignore H2O for Halloween 2018. So we get the continuity and we go, that didn't happen. So it's like we ignore all the sequels now from the first
I
Halloween.
never have heard that word.
It's for hairy film nerds.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the great thing. This movie is a movie that is connected only to the movie in 1978.
Right.
What happened to Laurie Strode on October 31st, 1978, is picked up 40 years later on October 31st, 2018, when Michael Myers escapes on his way to a maximum security prison. And the movie explores what those 40 years of trauma have done to Laurie Strode and her family, what she has lost, what she has endured, and it talks about trauma from a generational standpoint and ultimately brings back a collision between pure evil and in 1978, pure innocence, and now a woman who is a wounded warrior. And we get to watch that collision happen, and then we get to watch what happens. And it's very satisfying.
Your performance in this is genuinely extraordinary.
Thank you
I mean,
very much.
on paper it could read as it's just simplistic, but there's nuance here and there's levels that you bring to it. Was that all on the page, or did you specifically dig into, like, where does it all come from?
You know, I'm going to take the compliment. I've had people now tell me to say thank you, so I'm just going to go, thank you. That's very
thank
no,
you.
but what I'm saying is it's hard for me.
Sure.
So instead of now just like dismissing that and going, oh no, I'm just going to say thank you.
Okay.
I worked hard.
Yeah,
I brought it.
you really did.
That's what I will tell you. Was it on the page?
Right.
A little.
Yeah.
Did I deepen it and explore it and unpack it using today's good term? Yes. Was that an unpacking of my invention? Yes.
Right.
Did David go there with me? Completely. Did he support that and then nurture it and then kind of seeing where I was going, go with me and then create more of it and focus more of it? Yes. It was fluid.
Right.
It was not a rigid document and it was not a rigid performance. It became something very much alive and emotional every day.
So it really sets it apart from your average sort of slasher film. I mean, a lot of slasher films, you end up rooting for the killer because everyone's obnoxious or boring, or you just want to see some people get stabbed. There's none of that here. Michael is evil, you are good but troubled. Like, that's a really important dichotomy here.
And it is, as filmmakers, we have a responsibility to once in a while show what happens to people. You know, we as you said, you throw out a slasher movie and people just get killed indiscriminately and people kind of go, okay, but nobody really asks what happened. And it's interesting that David and Danny McBride and Jeff Radley, as their concept of the movie, was the posit. What happened to Laurie Strode?
Right.
Where is she? What if she's in isolation, she's lost her child, she's lost her family, she's lost everything. And then what happened is, October 10th, 2017, women started having the courage to raise their hand and say, this happened to me, and it ruined my life. all of a sudden, gymnasts were all standing up saying, this man abused me my whole life. A movie executive who used to be a very powerful man in show business is a laughing stock, and I hope will end up rotting in prison because he raped women over and over again and aggressed them because of his power. And you see all of that occurred after David Gordon Green and Danny McBride and Jeff Radley created the space for Laurie Strode to explore her trauma. And then all of a sudden, trauma with a capital T is being played out in the press, in the public sector, and is now being brought on a movie screen. And it is a confluence of trauma that is being played out. And we just had it in my country. My country. I wish it was my country. Tis of the sweet land of liberty. I wish it was of liberty, of thee I sing. I mean,
we're all watching. It's a bit like a horror movie from a distance.
well, it is
to be
a bit
honest.
like a horror movie because those fundamental freedoms are being taken away from people and it's obscene. But that confluence is actually playing out in a very real way. And we just watched a woman stand up and raise her hand and talk about being aggressed when she was 15
Right.
by someone who's now sitting on the Supreme Court.
This is such a timely film, as you're talking about now, but it's also extraordinarily successful, which is fantastic. Will you return for another one? Will you?
You know what? I don't really, again, I didn't set off to make this movie with any intention except to make a great movie and show up and tell the truth of what happened to Laurie Strode. I have no idea what the future holds. I really don't. I didn't go into it for that reason.
Right.
I didn't, we made this movie for scale. All of us, every crew member, every actor, no upfront fees. That's how Blumhouse makes movies. So I don't know what the future holds. All I know is that we made a kick-ass movie that
absolutely
is
did.
a wacko success.
Yep.
And I can only hope that if David Gordon Green feels like he has a story to tell, that I will be lucky enough for him to call me and say, hey, because he's a weirdo. And he'd be like, hey, it's David. Listen, you want to come to, if that phone call happens, that was a bad imitation of David Gordon Green.
I don't know the guy.
He's just
so
sort
I'm
of a
just gonna assume
nerdy
it was
kind of
fantastic.
he's a nerd.
Right.
He's a really cool cinema nerd.
Right.
But he's kind of a cool, funky dude. He's a dude. He's a little southerner,
Jamie Lee Curtis, I sincerely hope you keep elevating
Oh, far
everything
out.
that you're in.
Thanks
Lovely
a lot.
to meet you.
Appreciate
Real
it.
honor.
Really, really appreciate your support.
Laurie, after all these years, what do you think possessed Michael to go on this killing spree?
In this town, Michael Myers is a myth. This boogeyman is real. And now he's back. He's waited for this night. He's waited for me. I've waited for him.
Get out! Go home! Get inside!
You don't believe in the boogeyman?
He's here!
You should.